Brand new day, new chance, something to say. If I can make a difference in this world, then I make it. So I'm out, so I trust all my lyrics just goes into this new day. Like I was busting the night, but who feels so good, positive, I'm on the own. Just got on the radio, it's a positive.
Yeah. That's right. Welcome back. Ain't that right? Ain't that right? We are back live on the Coastal Sports Network, SR1029thegame.com. It is I, the Duncan Dad, back from the comfy tundra, the warm, semi-wet sometimes tundra of Lambeau Field in the middle of draft week. We are back. We are better than ever. And of course, we are going to go straight into our conversation today. We're going to be monitoring all the socials. So wherever you're at, comments come in, we'll have the conversation. You want to be invited on, drop your email. We'll go ahead, send you out the link. We want to get you on the program and have a little bit of this conversation that we are diving into today, because everybody and their brother and sister and mother and cousin and uncle and even Homer eating the donut today, right? We got to dig in. See, like, we're the whole shirt today, right? Homer's digging in. We Duncan Dad digging into the donut with Homer today. All right, so let's get the formalities out of the way, because it's important to, I think, really have the meat and potatoes of this conversation. Number one, huge thanks to the NFL. Huge thanks to contributors of the NFL draft. Thanks to the event organizers, BZA. Shout out to Ms. Heller. Great meeting you. Great having a little bit of a conversation. Go Birds. Love the communicado. Definitely looking forward to working together in the future. And awesome event, start to finish. Green Bay knocked it out of the park when it came to the draft. This is how it is almost every single weekend in Green Bay. No parking. People go ahead and open up their houses, open up the lawns, open up the drive. The streets are open, parking lots are full. But that doesn't matter. The Green Bay fans love their team. It's like the family member that you just want to wrap your arms around and embrace, and everyone's having a good time. Everyone's having a good time. Tons of activities, tons of food, tons of adult beverages, libations, not a ounce of bad behavior in the crowd, around, in the streets. Everyone's inviting. Everyone is super duper welcoming. Definitely booking a return trip to go back for an actual game day. Maybe when the Birds go play, we'll fly back out there. Maybe when Tampa gets out there, we'll go back out there. Just a really wholesome and genuine environment for football. You know, the hallowed grounds of Lambeau Field, the frozen tundra. You know, the annuals of Curly Lambeau, Vince Lombardi commanding his team, Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. They are in love with their Packers. It is a sight to be seen. And Lambeau Field, yes, folks, it is everything that it is made out to be and everything that it is supposed to be. A couple great cathedrals in sports, right? Wrigley Field, Fenway Park, Lambeau, Notre Dame Stadium. There's a couple others here and there, but those are sort of like, you know, they're the tops, right? I mean, there's a lot of Premier League stadiums. People are like, oh, talk about El Azteca. And I want you to talk about, Wembley back in the day. I haven't been, can't give my opinion on them. The other ones I have, phenomenal. If I had to rank them right now, my goodness, that's a good question. If I had to rank them right now, I haven't had the full Fenway experience, so I can't say exactly. It was sort of like a passer thing. It wasn't game, it was like the little simple tour, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know, the tour vibe kind of gives off the same as the baseball vibe. Probably not. Probably get hammered in the comments. But, man, there's something about, man, like I so bad want to say Notre Dame Stadium because of the touchdown Jesus and just the collegiate atmosphere. But, that's part of our conversation today. The collegiate atmosphere has changed a lot since way back in the day. I guess for my money, man, like I'm going to have to say Wrigley. Like there's just something about Wrigley Field I know it's more of an outing than it is necessarily like a baseball game nowadays. But Cubs are good this year. It's going to be packed all season. Phil's took 2 out of 3, but Chicago, right at the tops of the Major League Baseball standings, right next to our cross whatever big city Met people. Ugh, clear my throat after that. It's going to be a good season. It's going to be a good season. But yeah, I'd probably go Wrigley, um, Notre Dame for the ambiance, just the lure of it. A close, third to that second Lambeau, and then I guess throw Fenway in there because I can't really give it the full shake if I haven't really done it game day sort of thing. But yeah, it was great, super duper environment, great people. A little over 600,000 people showed up for the draft across those 3 days. It was tight while we were sitting there in the media center, reporting on the draft and going out. Like it got to capacity that we were getting alerts on our phones through the One Pass app that like, listen, we're stopping people coming in because we're at capacity right now. And believe me, they had plenty of space. The footprint of what they put out for this draft to include the NFL Play 60, the NFL Draft Experience, the vendors, the food stations, the concession stands, the draft theater was beyond amazing. Like beyond amazing. It was in and of itself with all the super fans, a dedicated area for specific levels of premium ticketing. Even though the event was free and you could upgrade if you wanted to, you could get literally 20, 30 feet off the stage, watch these guys come up, be introduced by the commissioner. Throughout the week, there were so many events throughout the week, not only NFL focused, but other entrepreneurs, other philanthropists, other people in the area using the backdrop of the NFL to further a lot of these really good missions out there. Again, we talked about this prior to going to the draft, that many times these events are the placeholder for bigger things community wise, right? Bigger things organizational wise, even outside of the NFL. But obviously the NFL really, really hit a home run. There was an Earth Day event. There was a cleanup. There were feeding people at an underprivileged shelter area, an emergency shelter. There was an organizational meeting about the character mental health approach for the players, for the NFL, for people in the community. Any resource that you could possibly think of was on display at the draft. And you were constantly inundated with all of these wonderful community sort of outreach events that you could go take part of. Not just show up. Go check out the resources. Go champion the local business. Go ahead and champion the local institutions in the area that were taking part of this. And from kids to senior citizens to average fans running around, there was a bike parade. There was a bike parade on the last day. Just like they do there in Green Bay when they're doing their OTAs and they're coming across from the practice facility, they're going over to the stadium, vice versa, back and forth. They had a bike parade. How great is that for the kids? Bring your bike, get to ride like the Packers do. Phenomenal. Every team was represented very well. Obviously, Eagles fans travel well. Cowboys fans travel well. Pittsburgh fans travel well. Green Bay was the resounding favorite of fans that were on location, on scene, obviously, because it's hometown. But never once did you feel as if there was any sort of animosity amongst the fans. Everyone was very congenial with one another. There were Lions fans and Green Bay Packer fans coming in together. High fives, hugging, cheersing with the beers. And it was just like, this is the fandom of football. Like, this is where we all sort of bond and get along. And it's where, like, the hope begins, right? It's the draft. Everybody's got their picks, their prognostications. Everyone's an expert. Everyone has an idea as to how it's supposed to go. Everybody wants a certain guy. They don't get that guy. Maybe they should have that guy, but this guy goes over here. You have individuals who trade up. You have coaches who were on certain staffs. They move on to their own venture. Now they're taking guys that we would have liked to have, but they have now. It's this orchestra of a sympathetic business movement player personnel. And right in the middle of it this year, you had a clear number one pick. There was a little bit of tease here and there, right? There was a inkling of like, well, maybe January, February time stuff is coming around, and maybe we can go ahead and get this guy instead. Maybe we should flip Hunter. Maybe some guy named Sanders should go up. But for the most part, Cam Ward, number one pick, Tennessee Titans, he was going to be the guy, bar none, right out of the gate. There really wasn't any question as to what was going to happen with that first pick. Hey, shout out to Don Juan checking in out there from the beautiful confines of Las Vegas, Nevada. How are you, Don? There really wasn't a question of like who was going to go first. Now, second, what was going to happen with the second pick? Right? Were you going to go strictly offense? Were you going to go offense, defense? Were you going to keep the pick? Were you going to trade the pick? And all of a sudden, like, boom, it happened right away. Ward goes off the board. Everyone's sitting there. We're all ready. And you get that do. And it's like, the trade. Cleveland has traded their pick. You're like, oh my God, what did we give up? Who, when, where, what? Here comes Jacksonville. Now, kudos to Jacksonville, right? Because for the longest time, we beat them, we beat it like a dead horse, not figuratively, like, make a move, get some help, pick somebody, take a top prospect. You're standing here, you're reaching lots of picks, So what do? They flip their first round pick. They give up a first round pick next year. They throw in another one as a little, tinky tink, and boom, they take Travis Hunter. Hunter, jovial, excited. You can feel when you're around. I'll just give a little insight, right? When you're around individuals that the casual, everyday fan sees from a distance. And this works in business too, and this works in any sort of field, right? Like you have this impression of Steve Jobs. Use Steve Jobs, for example, right? And you're like, God rest his soul, right? You have this idea of how this person is going to be. And a lot of times you have an interaction with this individual, or you have a bypassed sort of interaction where you don't really have direct contact, but you kind of get a feel as to what's going on. And you're like, man, that did not meet my expectation whatsoever. I've told a lot of people a lot of times that it is better sometimes, especially coming off of the excitement of a game, wins, losses, controversial plays, whatever, that you don't necessarily want to meet and or engage your favorite athlete at that point, right? It's like, imagine you go to work and you're doing your job and you're knocking it out of the ballpark. Anybody who walks up to you that day, you're going to be the best salesman, milkman, butcher, baker, candlestick maker in the world. You're going to share all of your insights. You're going to love it. It's going to be complete success. People are going to rave about that forever. But if you had a bad day, you're trying to enjoy a meal, you're trying to relax, you're trying to decompress, and you're getting approached in any kind of way, odds are you're not going to come off with the same impression. That being said, there are instances where you can, from a particular distance, get I'm use the keyword for the kids here, you can get a vibe, right? You can pick up what they're putting down, is what we used to say back in the day. And Travis Hunter, he loves football. He loves football. I mean, he is head over heels with the notion that he's going to the NFL and he's going to play professional football. Take everything else aside, all the adulations, all the fanfare, everything that comes along with it. Like, he's a happy individual. He sat down in that press room and you couldn't wipe the smile off of that kid's face. And there's a couple other guys that came in, same thing. You could see that they were genuinely excited to have the opportunity to play professional football. They know the other stuff is there. They get that. They get that. So now, before we get to the main conversation that everybody wants to talk about because everyone and their brother hasn't shut up about it, right, wrong, or indifferent. Another person I want to highlight real quick, Matthew Golden, Green Bay Packers' first wide receiver taken in 23 years with the 23rd pick. Sometimes things line up for a reason. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, if you wanted someone to say everything correctly at a press conference, this individual said it. I'm happy to be here. I like the idea of family. I could feel that in the building. I'm ready to work hard. Whatever the organization needs me to do, that's what I want to do. I'm not going to let anybody down. I'm going to keep pushing, myself. I'm going to keep grinding. Super excited to, be part of the venture going forward. Really looking forward to getting out there and talking to Jordan and getting on the same page with him and talking to Jaden, getting on the same page with him and just being a part of that whole culture and that environment. Very happy to be here, and it felt like home to him. And it's like, man, like, okay, this is what you want to get from your draft pick, right? And I'm not saying that there's a right way to do it or a wrong way to do it, because you can have a less than approachable attitude go out and you could, set the world on fire. That's not what we're trying to promote. But what we're trying to say is, like, there are times where you can see people who enjoy what they are doing and they're grateful for what they are doing. And this is no shade. It's no shade because I know people are like, oh, shade, no, we're throwing JDD, blah, blah. Let's say Don saying that the Packers fans got to love this guy. Good move to shout out City Green Bay during his introduction. Yeah, absolutely. They were desperate for, and Green Bay radio the entire week leading up to the draft was of the same mindset. They were like, are we finally going to get a receiver? Are we finally going to get a top tier receiver? And there was basically 3 receivers in the draft that were worthy of like that first round pick. First one earlier in the draft, Green Bay came around. They were to take their guy. And funny enough, there was an actual local station in Green Bay who did a few interviews with the 2 potential wide receiver prospects. And you heard a lot of the same response from the 2 wide receivers. However, the cadence and the inflection in some of the responses that you got from Golden, there was, I'm not going to say there wasn't more of a genuine response, but there was something else in there, right? There was something else saying, man, I recognize where I'm at. I'd like to go here. This organization is pretty, well put together. They have a solid young quarterback. They have direction with their coach. They have good young offensive talent. Later on, they went ahead and they got themselves some help on the back end for defense. So, like, they're moving in the right direction. Now, I've teased out a couple people, places, and things. I will constantly be working on the Twitter feed on the side over here. There's been a lot of individuals that have come out. And the elephant in the room is that you sometimes get a false impression of maybe what an individual can bring to a particular organization and venture, right? And this isn't performance, right? Like, let's get this out of the way, and then we'll bring in these other factors in a second. Like, performance is average to above average, very solid, not necessarily a franchise sort of player, not a generational talent. You can have all the hubris in the world. You can have all the belief in the world. You can have all the confidence in the world. Those are all good things, especially in the NFL, especially in a way where you are going to be challenged by your peers to flush out the drama, to flush out the talkers, to flush out all the negative criticism and keep your eye on the prize and go forward. There's reports in already that, this wasn't necessarily communicated effectively in the interview process. And maybe, just maybe, that's why it contributed to the fall of a certain individual. So the first round comes and goes, and who's still on the board? Well, we're obviously talking about Shedeur Sanders. Now, we're not going to make this the Shedeur Sanders show, because Shedeur Sanders happens to be the vehicle for what is actually taking place that no one wants to talk about. If you want to say it's about race, please turn off the stream and walk away. Is that a contributing factor to a little minuscule level that could possibly be used when all else fails? Sure, it can. Sure, it can. You could say Sanders family. You could say Manning family. You could say John Elway's family. You could look at every single AAU basketball guy, every single baseball dad, every single little football dad. Like, listen, everybody's going to champion a politic for their kid. It just comes in different levels, at different places, at different times. If you happen to be the county alderman in little Podunk, USA, shout out to Podunk, USA, because I love you, been there, lived it, love it, good, solid people, you're going to get a little more leverage with the head football coach for your kid or the head basketball coach when it comes to putting your kid on the team. Not able to get on too much, but unless I have anything about it. Yes, Rick Marcus. Hello, thank you. Let's bring on Rick Marcus' comment real quick. He says, not able to get on much during your time, but wanted to say hello. Well, we love you, Rick. You know you're out there doing your thing for us. Go Birds. But the point is that at every level, you are going to have a parent, an uncle, an aunt, someone who is going to be sort of like the bullhorn for the child. Now, there is a certain level of talent that comes along with this. You know, like, yeah, I want my kid to be on a team, blah, 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 but their skill set doesn't match that. But okay, I'm going to put them on a team. I'll play them a couple minutes. You have now, in Sanders, an average to above average, in instances, really above average, athletic individual who runs an offense that he's very, very familiar with. He shines in this sort of environment. He is surrounded by really good wide receivers at his universities. He has the benefit, for good reasons, to have the most wide receivers taken in this draft come from the school that he played with. His guys, 4 of them drafted, right? Wester, Horn, Hunter, and another guy. So, like, we'll find it. I know it's there. If you are of a particular level, a particular talent, you will progress through the next level, right? At some point, all of the championing, all the politicking, all of the glad handing, whatever, no matter how big or how small your particular parental influence is going to be, eventually that baton gets passed. And it's like, you have to go out there and prove what you're doing. Like those little coat strings, the little umbilical cord, like, it has to be cut. Like, you have to think about, you will need to let go. Unless it's your mission, and we can speculate because there's been plenty of speculation out there, that perhaps maybe this is going to be parlayed into something else, because maybe this parent's like, well, I'm done with you being the coach because I don't like the way that you're doing it. And I have enough clout. I have enough position that maybe I want to take care of it one day. I'm going to make sure it's set right. I'm going to make sure that everything is in place for blah, 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 blah. That's fine and well. And there's nothing wrong with an individual or a parent wanting to do that for their child. But then that's not the issue. Oh, but Deion has all this stuff. He's looking over people's shoulders. He wants to do this. And just like Don Juan said, Don Juan goes, I wonder how much the prospect of Deion looking over Shadour's NFL's shoulders played into or fall in his draft, right? Exactly. There is a lot of, well, you have more eyes on you than normally. Why? Well, because you come from a better pedigree. You have a Hall of Fame father. You have someone who is respected around the league. You have someone who commands a lot of attention himself. You have someone who is not my kid's not going there, he's not playing, and I'm going to be quiet. Like, no, I'm going to see this through to the end. That's wonderful. And this is for, and this is for my boy RG3. This isn't black parenting. This isn't white parenting. This is just parenting. And I'm sure Deion would say the same thing. He'd be like, if you see something that's good for your child, you want to go ahead and you want to champion it. So you want to start making it that kind of issue? That's BS. Especially since, and why I have a bone to pick with this is that one of the most marginalized NFL analysts over the last couple of years has been RG3. There's been people who have really liked him in the establishment and people who have really despised him in the establishment. And now we're going to jump out and we're going to make it this kind of issue? No, that is a weak, candy butt way of getting around what's happening. Oh, well, it's confidence and people are scared and blah, 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 blah. Ready? Here's my big reveal, people. It is not about having a predominant, louder than whatever dad, because that happens everywhere. This is just at a higher level. It's not about what color his skin is. It's not about what his skill set is. With the introduction of NIL money, you have created a culture of athletes that do not need NFL money. Quinn Ewers learned very, very quickly. He was offered $8 million in NIL money to stay at Texas. He's like, I'm going to draft. He goes and he gets drafted. He'll make about $800,000 for his little signing bonus. He'll make a couple of dollars after that. $8,800,000. Why is that an issue? Why is that important? Because when you take the totality of the circumstances and all of these instances and put them together, and you have a very predominant, affluent family that you come from, that's great. And now you come by yourself, and you have legendary. You have your own brand. You have your own money. You have your own film crew. You have your own people. You have your own entourage in the truest sense of the word. You, right, wrong, or indifferent, you don't need the NFL's money. You don't need to play by the rules of the organization. You're the asset to them. And many ways, this is true. However, I'm going to catch shade for this from across the board, but we're trying to make a open-eyed conversation. The reason that this individual's stock went down, the reason that all of this kind of arced opposite, is because when you have an individual who can show up on scene, this isn't about him being a playboy like Baker Mayfield. This isn't about him being, Johnny Football Manziel running around and him being all, hubris and cocky and blah, blah, blah. When you have an individual who has those attributes, like Shedeur has, who could be out there and say, no, nobody needs me. I'm going to do my thing. If they ain't ready to change their culture, their coach, their plan to reflect me, blah, 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 I'm not going to do this. When you have someone who can walk into your business and say, I'm here and I don't need you, but I want to play. So if I'm going to play, then this is how I'm going to do it. And if you're not on board with that, well, then guess what? It's not going to be any skin off of my back because I'm just going to take my toys and I'm going to go. Because I'm already making money over here. I already have money coming from back over there. Yeah, I love this game and I'm going to be the best that there is if you give me the opportunity, but I'm not going to jump through any hoops for you. I'm just going to keep being me. Listen, that right there scares the hell out of the league. Let me say that again. That right there is what scares the hell out of the league. Why? Because we've seen this in the NBA, where we have given, or the league has given, I'm using the proverbial, the greater we here, people, right? Like where you have given the power to the players to control and command what it is they want to do. Who's the GM and owner of Los Angeles Lakers? Ain't the Buss family. Who's the coach? Not JJ Redick. That team is run by LeBron James. 100 billion% run by LeBron James. What he wants, he gets. Does it make money? Of course it makes money. Of course it makes money. But, kudos to LeBron. He's got a couple championships in his pocket, and he happens to be the greatest stat accumulator of all time, greatest point scorer of all time. He's got 20 years in the league, so like it comes with a little more authority, right? It comes from another position of like, you know what, you're established and you're here, but also guess what? In a year, 2 years, you're going to retire and you're going to be gone. And the entity of the Lakers is still going to be here. And the entity and organization, the NBA, is still going to be here. But in this instance, you have, it happens to be a young, prominent, black male who plays really good football, who's got his own brand, who's confident, has a little bit of an attitude, a little bit of hubris. He can back it up half the time. He commands a huge, huge social media presence. He's already stated that if you want to buy my brand, you're not going to buy it from the NFL. You're going to buy it from my website. The NFL owners don't want money taken out of their pocket. They do not want money taken out of their pocket. This is a business. They don't call it the business of sport just to be funny. It is a business. And when you have an individual who may tick all the boxes, fit all the bills, but he's going to stir the pot? Nope, no way. There's no collusion in that. There's no conspiracy in that. It's a bad business decision for those that are in charge. It just is. Why? Because there's so many other things that come along with it. He's not getting trouble off the field. No, he's not. He's an entrepreneur. Yes, he is. He might be a little confident. Yes, he is. He got filled with a lot of hubris. Yes, he is. He's probably a stand-up guy. But it's too much fanfare. Too much of a situation that the organizations cannot control. That they can't mitigate some of these things. Attention that will be brought to someone other than the entire organization. Their history is, this doesn't work out well. Right? Think about all the wide receiver divas in your life that you think of. Eventually, get me the damn ball. Throw me the damn ball. That's my quarterback. I need all the reps, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, that stuff wears off, and it wears down a team, and it wears down a locker room. And then you throw in the fact that, well, did he intentionally tank interviews? Did he want to do that purposely because he wants to go to specific places? Was he not interested in certain things? Did he already know going into these individuals' meetings that he wasn't really going to get the opportunity to do what he wants to do in these places? I mean, from a business standpoint, think about this, folks, right? Like, Cleveland's got 5 quarterbacks on their roster, and they drafted 2 of them. I'm sure somebody's going to be out there and be like, well, Dunk, back in this year, somebody else, they drafted 2 quarterbacks as well, and blah, blah, blah. You're not just drafting 2 quarterbacks. You're drafting a guy who was projected to be in the first round, potentially a top 3 to 4 pick midway through January. And then even going into the draft, there were talks about people trading up and moving around to get him. He had opportunities to go to New Orleans. He had opportunities to go to the Giants. He had opportunity to go to Pittsburgh. Pass. Right? Like, eventually, whether you want to talk about it was the attitude, it was the hubris, it was the confidence, it was all this other stuff that's going on. It's a race thing. Put that crap away. Seriously, put that crap away. We're all supposed to be beyond that. Follow the money, man. Follow the money. This is about business. If there are other individuals that meet a need, that offer you less of a wild card in any way possible, as a business person, you are going to take that more sure, not shador, of a bet. You just are. Why? Because you might 2 or 3 times a year be amazing. But if the other 12 times I'm worrying about, like, well, what did they say? What did they do? How much damage control do I need to bring out about this? Why is money coming out of my pocket? What's going on inside my locker room? Where's the chemistry? I don't know. This veteran doesn't like this person. Like, you don't, as an NFL or a business owner or anyone else, you don't want to voluntarily invite that into your life. You don't. It's all fun and games, man. It's great. Everybody's got that friend. Yep, they got a couple bills. They got all the connections. You hang out. It's a great time. Blah blah blah. But like when you get down to brass tacks, and you're like, all right, if I had to pick up the phone right now and call someone, and again, Murphy Button proved me wrong, right? And I had to call someone. You're not calling that friend, right? You're calling little Timmy, Tommy, Janie, Tamika, whoever over there who got their ears, their eyes on. They show up all the time, no distract, like the solid individual, right? Because why? Because you need that consistency. And unfortunately, stars come and stars go. But the organization and the team and that success, that remains. Right, the biggest challenge that Shedeur is going to have is the Cleveland locker room. And I'm sure they're going to embrace him to a point. But I'll tell you right now, someone like Myles Garrett, who may be embracing and yes, let's go, he's not going to put up with that. He was told by Cleveland, I'm gonna get paid because we're going to win. I don't need hoopla. I don't need fanfare. He saw it. He's seen it with Deshaun. He's seen it with Johnny Manziel. He's seen it with Baker Mayfield. He's seen the drama, the back and forth, bringing Flacco in, Flacco out. Like, he's been there. He's done that. He wants to win. Now, granted, the only individuals who are to blame for where we're at right now, for everything that has manifested itself in the person of Shedeur Sanders, just happens to be Shedeur. Could have been anyone else. Could have been anyone else. I mean, look at Duke basketball right now. Cooper Flag is expected number one pick in the NFL draft, or this should be the NBA draft, right? Honestly, folks, right? Like, what has Cooper Flag done? Well, he's amazing. Oh, he's so great. He's got all these tools, all these talents. He's great. Above. Name me the last guy of Cooper Flag's cloth that have been really good like that in the NBA. I'll wait. Christian Laettner didn't do it. He was two-time player of the year, right? The kid, the mayor from Wisconsin, he didn't do it. Zach Edey, Purdue, coming up. He's not going to do it. Why? Because the talent, like, he has a certain skill set and a certain talent, and it maxes out and it levels. That's it. Then you start playing basketball. 21st pick in the 2020 draft is Tyrese Maxey, right? He went 21st. He's probably perennial all-star, 20th pick. You imagine Tyrese Maxey right now playing right next to Anthony Edwards in Minnesota? They'd be balling all over the place. Sometimes you hit on these things, sometimes you miss on these things. The issue was you had an individual who was well-established that came to the table with chips in his pocket. It's a poker game, man. It's a poker game. He had chips in his pocket. They pushed a chip, he threw a chip. Another chip, another chip. Check, raise, check, raise, check, raise. So finally he's like, dude, I'm all in. I don't care. I'm all in. You want me? You don't want me. I'm not changing me. You're going to keep doing you. So either it's going to happen or it's not going to happen. But listen, Shedeur ain't losing sleep over everything. And he's going to go like he did already. He's already showed up in Cleveland to start getting in and getting busy. Why? Because now you've humbled this guy and you've created this individual who is going to push himself to be the absolute best version of himself. And that's where you really, really need to take inventory. Oh, now you have a Hall of Fame dad. You have someone who's shown you that work ethic. You have someone that told you to keep your nose clean and stay on the straight and narrow. Yeah, you can be a little bit of happy hubris. You can a little bit of chiding here and there. You talk about waking up a sleeping lion. If there's an ounce of that inside of Shedeur, which I'm guessing there's a lot more than that, then you're going to have him take the league by storm because he'll flip a switch. But let's not get this misconstrued or mistaken in any way. RG3, Mel Kiper, Acho, love you. This isn't about his race. This isn't about him being a little more confident. This isn't about him being the loud, squeaky wheel. This was 100% about the fact that the very entity that was created by the introduction, and to some degree correct, and there's a whole bunch of regulation that's going with it, allowing amateur athletes to be paid. You have now, just like any sort of other organization in the world, when I come to the negotiating table, when I come to do my interview, if I have chips in my pocket, I'll be like, well, listen, I got an MBA, have my PhD. I've been here, I've done that, done this, done that. I have tons of prospects out there just looking for me. Why should I partner up with you? And for 95% of the time in the history of the NFL, it has always been a one-sided conversation. They might listen to you about your family. They might listen about your plight. They might listen about like, oh, I had this going on. But you had someone sit down finally on the other side of the table who was like, that's okay. Thank you for your offer. I'll get back to you in a couple days. And that's not hubris, people. That's being confident in what you have and where you come from. Is it a little extreme sometimes? Listen, social media is extreme. Is he going to party hard? Of course he's going to party hard. Is it going to be an issue when it comes to his football character? As Don Juan would say, right, that's what we need to put our feelers out for. That's what we have to do our evaluations on. He said for Shedeur, it's not about his race, but as MLK said, the content of his football character. You're exactly right. So if he shows up and he plays the game and he balls out and he is fully invested, a lot of people are going to be eating crow, and a lot of people are going to sit there and say, yeah, you marginalize this individual, and you should walk it back, and blah, 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 blah. Listen, as a business decision from the other side, if you're looking at from the establishment side, you have a wild card sitting in front of you with power that you've never seen before. Manifested an individual who happens to be black, who happens to have a Hall of Fame NFL head coach, NFL player who is a head coach. You're taken aback as an organization because you're like, we've never been in this spot before. And, there are some things that we see and we like in his game. There's other things we didn't like in his interviews. There's other stuff that we're not really sure about, like with his attitude. But the on-field production is a lot better than this guy and that guy. Do we really want to go down this road? Do we really want to deal with this kind of drama? Is there going to be drama? How's it going to be accepted? Is it not going to be accepted? You know what? I'm going to wait. So what you're doing then is you're mitigating your loss and your out-of-pocket expense, right? This is business. So you don't got to pay him first-round money. You don't got to pay him second-round money. Then we got to pay him third-round money or fourth-round money. You're going to pay him fifth-round money. And if it pans out for you, you look amazing. You're great. Why? Because it doesn't matter who sits down at the tables, boys and girls. It doesn't matter who walks in with the suit. It doesn't matter what you wear, what you bring. The house will always win. The house will always win. You know how many players and people and big shots have been through every major corporation since the advent of time? Handful. You know what happens? They come and they go. Next man up. And guess what remains? The corporation and the business. It remains. But when you invite that in, when you are willing to take a chance on that, I will guarantee you, look back at all those instances, stuff changes. People don't like change. Especially when it's change that they created themselves. Holy crap. Take a moment and think about that. Oh, we gotta get these kids on board. We gotta sponsor them for our team. We gotta, make sure they're aligned with our corporate sponsors and blah blah blah. Oh yeah, this is great. Yeah, give them a couple $1 million. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well now I'm not sitting down with a kid coming from college who's got nothing in his pocket. No, last year I made $20 million. Still got some NIL stuff. I might take my extra year of eligibility. I might go run over here and do it over this side. Why? Well, because I'm still doing the thing I love and the thing I like. I'll take the money though. Oh, it's all right. I don't care. Listen, business and business decisions. It just so happens. And people like, Doug, no way, you don't understand. You can't say that. It's got to be about this. It's got to be a race thing, got to be a talent thing, got to be interview things, blah, blah, blah. All of those are little verticals that come down to the main problem. Oh, I didn't hire him. I didn't like his suit. Now, you see his shoes? Ugh. His hair wasn't cut. Ugh. Steinbrenner's. That wasn't conforming to the uniform thing and had facial hair. Nah, don't like him. Doesn't want to do that. Can't be on the team. People will come. Did you send that email from your business account to your personal person over there? Did you make a personal phone call while you were on the clock? They will find something. They will find something. They don't give two craps. Two craps what it is. They'll find something. In light of NIL, will the NFL update the rookie compensation? That's a really good question. And that's where I get on board with it being about the business. Because if I'm an agent and I walk in there and I'm like, okay, I declare for Madrell, I'm drafted, blah, 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 blah. But I haven't signed with them. I drafted, right? Just because you're drafted, you might not sign, right? And you're like, well, I still got years of eligibility and XYZ person still wants to give me a couple $1 million over here. You want to give me base. You know what? I'm going to bounce back, right? That's where you still have to figure out how this NIL compensation, how this NIL disbursement of funds is going to be. And you're seeing this become more and more of an issue. And we talked about this ad nauseum on other programs, that you have benchmark hallmark schools. Think of all the big schools right off the top of your head. Everybody's thinking about them. Boom, 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 boom. But I'm not going to mention them. You will immediately get more recognition, more NIL funding, more sponsorships at these larger schools. Why? Exposure. Exposure is marketing. Marketing is business. Business is money. Money is good, especially for the organization, especially for the alumni, especially for the universities. Blah, 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 XYZ, PDQ, ABC, BBD. Shout out to the East Coast family, Bell with the Bow. Like, you have to take into account that now there is going to be some sort of regulation with it. Whether you like it or not, like the little guy from, doing the fish. Oh, gotta be faster. Oh, almost got it. Gotta be faster. One or two individuals through this process have gotten away from being held in this particular spot and location. And now they're on your doorstep and they're like, I want to play with the big guys. But guess what? I don't really have to like who I'm playing with. And if I don't like it, I'm just going to go over here. And if you don't want me, no big deal. I'm still going to prove it to whoever does, whenever they do it. No big deal. First time in the history of the NFL. And I support both sides. I support Shedeur for being confident in his approach. I support him for going in there knowing he had chips in his pocket. And on the other side, I support the owners being like, you know what? I don't know if I want to touch this. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm equipped. I don't know if our team is ready to handle. Our organization is ready to handle what's happening here. But there's always one person. And you're going to look back in history. Mark my words. Put this down, bookmark it, mark the tape, put it out in the ether. This draft and what happened with Shedeur Sanders will set the new standard as to how organizations, the NFL, and players go about this entire process. And it will be changed in many ways for the better, because you don't have a one-sided interview anymore. You have a negotiation table. This is my skill set. This is what I've done. This is how I've interviewed. Okay, okay. You want this, and that's great. You want to be first, but like, your interview was really bad. And we've seen times here where, like, you were sacked 92 times in your senior year or last 2 years. Like, your pocket presence really doesn't show us that you may have a lot of the acumen that we're looking for, in a quarterback in these high pressure situations. Although you did succeed well in this particular instance, you did make these check down throws well. You did throw the deep ball very well. You were elusive. You come from a decent pedigree of blah, 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 blah. You've played against these teams, X, Y, Z. Okay, so instead of being at this number up here, we got you sort of around here. What do you think? Right? And instead of it being an interview of like, hey, Mr. So-and-so, can you give me a job? Hey, Mrs. So-and-so, can you give me a job? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, we're actually having a conversation now, not just for me to fit into your team. Is it going to cost people money? You're damn right it's going to cost people money. Why? Because the athlete's not writing the check. The organization's writing the check. And whether we like it or not, you could have 2 home run hitters walk up to the team. And you're like, you know what? Get along with that guy a little bit better. He's willing to do a little more of kind of like what we want because that's kind of the direction we're going. So even though you hit, 7 more home runs last year, we're going to default to this guy. Oh, that was prejudice. That was racist. That doesn't fit in any sort of argument. That makes more sense. No, it just means that individual is a better fit for what this guy over here is looking for. No shade. No nothing. Strictly business. Oh, you can't say that. You came to the table saying, how am I fitting into your world? That doesn't come with a color. That comes with a resume. That comes with a skill set. That comes with what you've done throughout this entire process. But in this particular instance, like I said, marking the tape, it was the very first time. The very first time. You would say, oh, well, they did it with Elway. Oh, they did it with Manning. Yeah, that's great. You know what they did? They were like, my son's not going to play there. I want to be here. We're going to move around there and play this team. But when they got into the room, it wasn't as if Eli or Peyton or John or whomever else was like, you don't need me. I'm not going to be here. I don't care. I don't like that. Nah, I'm taking this one off, blah, blah. No. Because why? Like, they would have had to go back to just being the son of a Hall of Fame person or the county alderman or the sheriff, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. They've been throwing a bone over here. Have a good time. This individual is going back to a multi-million-dollar lifestyle that he's enjoyed his whole life. No trouble, no drama. Woo me. Tell me why I should be here with you guys. And you're seeing it played out on the biggest stage. And like I said, you have to support both sides in this because you are coming into this new existence of sport. And whether we like to admit it or not, because of what happened in college, because of everybody that's being able to get paid right now, because let's be really clear here. Just because Shedeur comes from a good family, who's an affluent family, he was able to make above and beyond that and leverage all of this exposure. But he did that on himself. He might get a little prop here from dad, like talking this, talking that, blah, blah. But like he had to go out there and do that, either by his gameplay, either by his social media presence, either by the people that he surrounded him with. But like he had to work that particular avenue. And oh yeah, by the way, he just happens to be over here playing and winning football games for 2 universities. Does it help that he played alongside the Heisman winner? I'm sure it did. I mean, Michael Jordan had Scottie Pippen, right? Like, okay, LeBron lovers, like, we got you. Like, we understand this. But when you are able to walk into a negotiating room, and granted, like, I love the NFL. I love the NFL owners. I love everything about the teams. I love being able to get in there and cover this. But I think it's hard time that you stripped away all of the BS. Strip away all the BS, man. Everybody can have an affluent parent. Everyone can come from an affluent family. Everyone can come from a less than affluent individual and still make a lot of noise. That's not the issue. The issue was a totality of these factors on top of someone is now in the building who is sitting down across on the other side of the table, just like any good business meeting would be, that has just as much, not more, just as much, to offer us in a sense that if they want to be here, they want to be here. If they want to walk away, they can walk away. But if they're going to be here, they're going to come and be loud and proud and confident and outgoing and have all the fanfare. That's a lot to digest when the model has always been, hey, welcome to the team. Here's your paycheck. Go do ABC. That's like, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Hey, people don't want to be honest. Let's be honest. So, not about this, not about that, not about the wiffle ball bat. Beastie, shout out to the Beastie Boys. It is strictly about this particular moment in time where you have an individual manifested in the person of Shedeur Sanders being able to sit down and for a moment, because the game is always there, organization is always there, for a moment to be able to say, look, I'm the entity right now. I'm the asset. You want to pay the asset? That's great. But here's what comes along with that asset. But if you don't want to pay me, okay, on to the next one. That is a different dynamic than what people are used to dealing with. Because normally what happens? Oh, here's the first round pick. Back in the day, zoom. Here's the paycheck. $100-some million over here. 150 over there. 43 guaranteed sign and bonus. Holy cow. Why? Well, this person's going to do what I want them to do for an amount of time. And I'm going to write in there, if something happens, then whatever. The most powerful thing that you can have in any sort of negotiation, any sort of presentation, whatever, is the ability to walk away. The ability to walk away. So throw all the shade you want about Eli, Peyton, and Elway, and 2 or 3 other guys. As much as they wanted to, they were in no position to walk away. This individual, and like many other individuals coming down the line because of what has happened before, because it's always what happened before, not what happened just right now. They've had that opportunity. They've had that chip in their pocket to be like, guess what? I'm going to walk away. I love this, but I'm going to be in the right place and I'm going to walk away. That happens. That absolutely happens. So as this process continues, as we see this evolving, keep your eyes and ears open. People who make it about one thing and not the reality, take note of that. Because if you're all on the same page, you want everybody to succeed. Because listen, if you want to be successful, you want Shedeur to succeed. If I'm every other person who's coming after Shedeur, I want him to succeed. I want him to be successful in these endeavors. Because that works for me. Because that works for me when I sit down at the table. And I'm like, hey, I got a couple chips in my pocket now, and I've got this offer here and that there, and I've had this, blah, blah, blah. Built a little bit of reserve for myself. Hey, maybe I really want a beer. Now, will it work all the time? No, it's not going to work all the time. But there has to be a first. There has to be a first. I want to say it was a humbling experience? I'm sure it was. Do you want to say it was a conspiracy? I'm sure it wasn't. Do I think it was a matter of we haven't seen anything like this before? We really don't know how to handle it. We're sort of taken aback by everything that's going on. So, you know what? Wait and see approach. Wait and see approach. Wait and see approach. And because of social media, because of the media in general, it turns into this great big news cycle story constantly. But no one wants to sit there and say anything counterintuitive when it comes to the business of it. Look, it's a business and it's money. That's great. We understand that. Do you want the best fit for your job, the best employees for your company? Absolutely you do. But you got to be willing to take all this that comes along with it. That's really what it is. There's nothing more. There's nothing less. It doesn't matter what you wear, what color your skin is, what car you drive, how much, you do this and you do that. If you're a fit for this organization and we feel as if we can do this and go about this endeavor together, and I'm willing to give this much over here, if you're willing to give this much over there, then guess what? It's going to work out. You're going to be prosperous. But if that's not how it's going and people aren't on the same page, or there's confusion or there's miscommunication, people aren't going to make that deal. They're just not going to make that deal. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because the same way that I wouldn't blame Shedeur for being like, I'm not playing there. I don't want to go there. This place has been a mess. Like they got no idea what they're doing. I'm on the same page over here saying like, well, listen, man, there's a lot of other things that are happening that we're not equipped to sort of handle at this moment. And I think it's in everybody's best interest if we go our separate ways, or thank you for your time and consideration, blah, 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 blah. We wish you the best success, luck, and all your endeavors. Like this, the first big sports business interview drama that we've seen really play out in modern terms. Scrap all the other crap. And listen, I'm sure if I am given the opportunity to sit down with individuals on both sides without directly throwing anybody under the bus, you would probably have them say, hey, you know what? Yeah, like it was an unsure business decision. We obviously saw that there were some deficiencies in the way that, things interviewed. We didn't sort of get a decent vibe about this. We wanted to go in one direction. They wanted to go in the other direction. Every sort of bit of corporate lingo that exists. And granted, look, that's their prerogative. That's fine. Like what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and vice versa. Like you can't give someone the benefit of the doubt over here and not give them the benefit of the doubt over there. Oh, well, yes, you can dunk because that's what they said and that's what they always done and blah, 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 blah. Listen, good kid, not in trouble, predominant family, used his social media and marketing stuff, tons of money through an NIL, a lot of hubris, a lot of confidence, backed it up on the football field to the best of his ability, was surrounded by a lot of talent, knows his value, knows his worth, doesn't want to shortchange himself. On the other side, established organization, winning organization, high profile, money that is beyond what that individual has even experienced yet because it's being spent out across the entire league, the entire organization, the entire brand. We want to go in this direction. If that doesn't jive, it doesn't jive. Plain and simple. That's it. Just doesn't jive. Put all the BS aside. Put all of the how come this happened. Why? We just weren't on the same page. Didn't work. Now, does it hurt more that you have other people out there, talking heads, NFL draft experts, that are screaming and yelling and beating the drum? Yeah, because if I walk down the street and 10 million people are saying, that's the next greatest thing since sliced bread. That's the next greatest thing since Amazon stock, Apple stock. You got to get it, blah, 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 blah. And I hear it ad nauseum, over. And that's going here and it's going there. And everybody else is getting on board. You're like, oh my gosh, well, why didn't this happen? How can it not take place? Well, why did we not draft this person? Why? What's going on? What's happening? Talk to me, Buffy. Spend the money. Like, because once you get behind the scenes, once you're in the same room, in the same vicinity, there's been plenty of times, and I guarantee everybody listening here, where you have, like, I got great expectations, got my resume all together, sent in for this job. It's my dream job. It's where I want to be. It's a stepping stone position. You walk in, you sit down. Here's the interviewing individual, and you walk out, and you're like, that bleeping sucked. I would never want to be in this environment, in this organization. Everyone's done it. On the flip side, you walk in and it's like, man, I can't wait to like come here. I'm ready to chop off my left arm in order to, make this work for everybody. That's what happened. That is 100 billion% what happened. There was enough justification in the interview process, in the tape, in the instantaneous, how would you correct this? How would you do this? Blah, blah, blah. In the personal one-on-one meeting to where either side got a sour taste in their mouth or they didn't see eye to eye. And it was like, you know what? We could and would really work out. But, there's some other stuff over here. And, in the meantime, there's kind of an individual over there fits for the moment. So a little better for a need that we have as well. And even though you're a need that we have, and we definitely need you, but I think we're gonna wait a minute, and we're gonna go ahead and go with this guy over here, or we're gonna go with this girl over here. We're gonna choose this option just for the moment, and we'll circle back around. We'll loop everybody in, and then maybe if you're there, we'll see if it works. We'll go ahead and we'll bring you on board. But if we bring you on board, it's not gonna be for not gonna be for this money up here. It's gonna be for this down there, right? You're gonna be right with that. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna be right with that. Why? Well, it's your decision. If you're not right with that. That's okay, right? I mean, we'd like to have you, but X, Y, and Z. Like, these are real conversations and things that happen every single day. Ask anybody and their brother who's walked in for an interview. Anybody. This happens every single day. It's just in this instance, you had an individual who had a lot of chips in his pocket, who was able to command a little bit more at the negotiating table, was able to be a little more 100% authentic themselves. That's it. That's all that happened. It wasn't about race, creed, color, sex, the car he drove, clothes he was wearing, chains. None of that. Because if it was, then 26 out of the 32 people that were drafted in the first round would have been drafted. 26 out of 32 picks in the first round, all African American, black. Okay? Like, stop that crap. Just stop it. Had nothing to do with that. That's a minuscule component as to what's going on. But nobody wants to talk about that. Oh my God. Why? Because there's some great freaking guys that were drafted. Had nothing to do with the color of their skin. Nothing. People are willing to take chances on individuals who have a particular asset, skill set, resource, if they are on the same page. I'm willing to compromise this to get that over there. I talk about it all the time, the pendulum. I talk about it all the time on the scale. If we're weighing like this and you're a little over, okay. But if it goes like this, it goes up really high, I'm going to be able to draw it back in. Same way, if I'm up here, I'm demanding all this in this kind of arena. You're not meeting it. I'm going to have to go the other direction. This is business 101. There's nothing more than business 101 paid on a big stage because you have a lot of individual who happens to be a very prominent figure with a very prominent following who is, in many ways, the first time that the establishment has had to confront and deal with on this particular level. Again, this happens every single day in small-time USA, even in big-time USA. If you're the powerful family, the powerful whomever in a certain county, individual's town, blah, 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 believe me, you get heard a little bit more. And as Don once said, at one time recently, four of the highest paid NFL quarterbacks were all African American. Exactly. I mean, like, this isn't about, like, this is what I'll wrap on this today. I think one of the greatest things about sports, and we can talk about the White House visit and all that kind of stuff. Like, one of the greatest thing about sports is that you have individuals from every single background all coming together in one locker room to establish and achieve one goal. That is the beauty of it. It's wonderful when that is able to happen. You look at every successful organization, corporation, relationship, you have individuals who have a multitude of experiences, backgrounds, feelings, emotions, communication styles, skill sets. You have success. That's the beauty. It's the beauty of sport. So when we wipe that factor off the table and we look at it as an unknown, this was an unknown avenue that particular parties had never gone down before. And there were other mitigating factors that contributed to the hesitation for onboarding. Okay, that's it. So now, how are we going to adjust going forward? What's going to be in place? Is there going to be a particular bit of negotiation that that happens? Are we going to give these kids the opportunity to, you know what? I didn't like my interviews in the NFL, and I really want to do this, but I want a one-time option to go back to college. Are we going to give them that? Are we going to give the owners, a break and be like, hey, it didn't work out with this guy, didn't like the interview, didn't get a vibe, weren't on the same page. So no shade towards anyone, just hey, different directions. Shake hands, everybody go their own way. But the bullhorn and the commentary from everyone on the outside screaming and yelling, it's because of race, it's because of predominant family, it's because of his dad, it's because of this, it's because of that. Listen, you have a really good kid with a really good skill set. He's never been in trouble in his entire life. He comes from an affluent family. He has a Hall of Fame head coach at college, dad. He's respected around the league. He's very vocal. He's very empowering. He has confidence. Yes, he has hubris. Yes, he does all of the things that you see on social media. Does his TikToks, does his dance, has his chain, has his voice, has his entourage, has his party, does whatever. But he keeps his head on straight, and he plays ball. He has his own brand. Like, this is someone who you look at and you're like, man, like, okay, like, it's a really good asset to have on the team. Like, I feel like this is, going to be okay. Like, maybe we should make this work. And then on the other side, you have an establishment who's like, okay, we get this and we like this, but like, we're not equipped for this right now. Like, we don't really know how to go about this. And people are going to say, oh yeah, of course we are. We're equipped for it. Okay, awesome. Like, you can, and you'll be able to mitigate a little bit of the circumstances. However, there are a lot more questions than there are answers. There is a lot more questions than there are certainties that are going on in this particular instance. You want to be judicious with the way that you go about that. That's good business practice. Why? Because you still want your business there after X amount of time. You don't want to have to do damage control or have to run damage control and cover for things that you don't really necessarily can anticipate. Maybe you can anticipate, but you don't know what the fallout is. You'd have one little thing that happens, and instantaneously, opinion changed. We have people going to White Houses, not going to White Houses, staying home, scheduling thing. Thank you, sir. No, sir. But listen, it's your decision to do what you want to do. Everyone can have their own convictions, but everyone plays the commentary card. Everyone plays, well, now I hate this guy. Now I love this guy. Oh, that guy's a superhero. This guy is a villain, blah, 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 blah. You know what? When they get in the locker room as part of the team, if everybody's on the same page and we're all forging ahead, looking for one particular goal, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Why? Because the beauty of sports is that everybody comes from a different background at all different times in their lives, all different social standings. That's the beauty of it. Hard work, dedication, commitment, driving towards a common goal. But again, in this particular instance, and we marked the tape, it was the first time that you had an individual manifested in Shedeur Sanders that was able to come to these particular groups, these particular meetings, these organizations, and say, I'm the asset. I don't need you. I want to be here. Don't take that as an indication of my not having a love for the game, not having a love for the organization, not having a love for the sport. But you need to tell me why I need to be here. Because I don't want to change. That's the reason. That's the reason why. Because change, albeit inevitable, is difficult. What will happen, though, is that when the change is embraced by both sides, the give and the take. There will be a level of success that we haven't even seen in sports. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today on Ain't That Right. We'll be back again on Thursday, same time, same bad channel. Shout out to Uncle celebrating his birthday today, 86 years. We want to put that on the books so it stays out there in the ether forever. Everyone else who joined the program today, Don Juan, Rick Marcus, Jay, everyone watching out on X, Instagram, former Twitter, thank you so much for jumping in, jumping on. Please have a wonderful remainder of your day. Be sure to enjoy the weather if you are enjoying the weather in a particular area of the country. It's beautiful 80-degree weather here today in the Northeast, because why would it not be? Why would it not be, right? All right, guys, have a good one. We'll see you next Thursday. Well, no, see you on Thursday. Peace.